Guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Felo le Tee, aka Gogovela Bashlega, and this is Relocate to Australia with Promise. Guys, if you don't already know this by now, this is your #1 DIY relocation platform. Alright, so if you are looking for information on how you can relocate and settle in Australia without the help of an agent, where you can do the whole process yourself, this is the channel to be at. So please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, do the things that people do when they're on this side of town, when they're on YouTube and social media, because you never know, there might be somebody out there who's looking for this information. It is so life-changing. There's so many people who come to my channel and tell me that just because they've watched my video, and I'm not lying, you guys, I've got the receipt, okay? They tell me that since they've been on my channel, they've been inspired and they have also relocated, and I'm like, my God, so thankful and so grateful to be part of that experience and that journey. But it obviously means that, you know, there are people out there who are looking for this information and maybe they don't even know where to find it. Maybe somebody's out there, they don't even know what to do with their lives. They're stuck and they're like, we want something different, we want a career change, we want something that's different in life. You know, sometimes moving out of your comfort zone, getting out of your comfort zone is exactly what you need for growth. And you know, life is too short, man. Life is too short. So always try something new. If relocation was not something that you thought of doing maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and now you rethinking it, I'm telling you, this is something that you will not regret. There are people that have made the most out of their relocation experience. There are people who have relocated permanently. There are people who have relocated but gone back to their home countries. People do a whole lot of things in this life, honey boo boo. But what I'm just gonna tell you is, you can always relocate at any point in time in your life. Be careful of that though, because you know, with everything that is going on in the world, politicians and all of that, politics and people who are making rules and all these policies and regulations and legislations in our lives, they can always change their minds at any point in time in this world. So you never know when they're going to be like, no, we're no longer taking immigrants into certain countries. So for as long as borders are still open, for as long as applications are still open, I really do encourage you guys and I advise you to start your relocation journey as in yesterday. Okay, so if it is still something that you are not too sure about, it is okay, it is normal. I do advise people to join groups and, you know, talk to people that have done it, because that way, you know, you get to, you know, sometimes when a space is unknown, when you're getting into unknown territory, there are nerves involved, you know, you're scared and all of that. But the minute you start asking questions and you start gathering information, it becomes, you know, familiar, it becomes real, it becomes doable. So I really do advise people to ask questions. I do advise people to, you know, go out there and see what is available for them. Anyways, I did not want to go into that whole spiel, honey boo boo. Ciao. Today I want to talk about this. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine. So I've got so many friends. I've got so many friends. Ever since I started this whole relocation business, I have just made so many friends on social media, and it's really humbling. Also because it's I love purposeful relationships. I always feel like when you have friends, they are supposed to be people that grow you and people that, you know, people that can travel life with you easily. You know, you don't want those toxic friendships. We want those good friendships. So I always feel like when I engage with people and I make friends with people on social media, especially people who are looking to relocate, I enjoy such friendships because I learn a lot from the questions that they ask me, because sometimes they'll ask me something that I didn't know, so I'll have to go and look for that information. And it also helps me because then I come onto YouTube to discuss it. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine. She's a nurse. I spoke about her, I think, in my previous video. So she's looking to relocate to Australia with her husband and their baby. So she's been doing this process. Oh my God, it's been, I think, 2 years now. It's been crazy. It's been insane because of COVID and everything. But yeah, things are moving now, which is great. So we had a discussion about visas because she wanted to know how many visas she could apply for in Australia. I think she had read somewhere where they said if you can only apply for one, if there are like consequences if you apply for more than that, and all of that. So I had to clarify for her what I know and the information that I have about visas. Also, the good thing is we had an experience. We had an experience where we applied for 2 visas at the same time simultaneously. So at least with that knowledge and that experience, I was able to advise her with what I know. So the question is, can I apply for 2 or more visas in Australia at the same time? And the simple answer is yes. You can apply for 2 or more visas in Australia. There are consequences also, but we'll talk about that a bit later. What I want to highlight is this. Let's say, for example, you did your skills assessment, right? So your skills assessment, if you don't know, your skills assessment is where you'll be converting your skills from whatever country you come from, and then you're saying, okay, fine, with these skills I can use them in Australia. So for example, I'm a social worker, I've got a social work degree. I will fill out paperwork and all of that and then submit it to an Australian assessing authority, and then they will look at my qualifications and paperwork to say, oh no, actually with your skills and your qualifications, they are very much equivalent to what we have here in Australia. So this means you can work here in Australia. It's as simple as that. So as long as you've got the qualifications and as long as you can prove that you did similar coursework to what they have here in Australia, you are good to go. I think I will do a video where I go more into a skills assessment because it's a process. So I will make time where I'll do a video and then we can sit down and maybe start a skills assessment process, and then I walk you through that. Anyways, so you do your skills assessment, and then now you've done your skills assessment, you start looking for jobs, or maybe before you completed your skills assessment, you started looking for jobs, and then you got employed, right? So if you got employed, because you can still get employed even if you have not traveled to Australia. You don't have to travel to Australia for you to get employment. You can get employment in whatever country you are, and then the company will then sponsor you to come into Australia. I have spoken about the TSS visa, subclass 482. A video will pop up now if you have not yet watched it, so that you guys can get more information about this visa. There are a lot of good things that come with the visa, but there are also disadvantages. So I do advise that you watch both videos so that you can get an idea of what the visa is and also know what you're getting yourself into when you come to Australia on a TSS visa. So a TSS visa is obviously a temporary visa, so it only gives you up to 4 years stay in Australia. There are some people who when they apply for jobs, their employer will be like, we only give you 1 year or 2 years. There are many reasons to that. We got 4 years when we got our TSS visa, but there are some employers who will be like, no, we don't trust that you're gonna stay with our company for however long, so we give you only 2 years or 1 year. There are many reasons why they would not give you 4 years. I would advise that maybe when you're having a conversation with your employer, to explore maybe questions around how long will you grant me a TSS visa, because then I think it kind of it builds that good relationship between you and your employer when you know that they've got your back. And yeah, hopefully by the end of that 4 years, maybe they might be able to sponsor you for a permanent residency visa, because your employer is able to sponsor you for a PR visa, but that's a discussion for another day. So let's say now you are now looking to get a job because you want a TSS visa, which is much quicker than a PR visa, right? So a PR visa is our permanent residency visa. Oh my God, that visa, it's good. It is very good. It gives you permanent stay in Australia. It is your pathway to citizenship, but oh my God, it is so expensive. The process is daunting. It is nerve-wracking. A lot of people are looking to get into that visa, so the waiting period is very long. So yeah, there are a lot of things that come with that visa. However, once you get it, it's always hooray, hullabaloo. It's very nice because yeah, you get all those nice benefits that comes with being a permanent resident in Australia. It's a discussion for another day too. So now let's say, for example, you are like, okay, fine, I'm going to continue looking for jobs just in case I get the TSS visa, right? But you look on the other side and you realize that, oh no, I can actually qualify for a permanent residency visa. This means that when you look at the point system, when you look at the information that is provided on the immigration website, the Australian immigration website, you look and you're like, wait, I actually do qualify for a permanent residency visa. So now you're like, okay, I've got two options. Either I firstly get a job, and then I get sponsored, or then I can get a PR visa. So you've got your two options and you're like, okay, what do I do? As I said in the beginning, you can apply for both visas at the same time. You can apply for two or more visas at the same time. I'm going to get into the or more discussion after this so that I don't confuse you guys. So now you've got these two visas, the TSS visa and the PR visa. Obviously, as I said, with the TSS visa, it is very easy to get this one. As long as you get the job, as long as you got the job, your employer does the rest. They will apply for that visa. They will pay for that visa. It's all good. All you just have to do is wait for them to grant your visa. And usually with immigration, because they want a lot of skilled people to come into the country, the visa's waiting period is not that long. I remember when we applied for ours, we got it within 10 days, and there are people that have actually gotten it in like 2-3 days. So it's a very good visa. It's as long as your employer says to the government, we want this person, they've got the qualifications, they tick the boxes and everything, we are good. The Australian government trusts that the companies that they have and the businesses that they have done their due diligence, and they are able to then employ you and bring you into the country, which is great for the Australian economy. So now, okay, fine, you get the job. Now your employer is going to be applying for that visa. And then now you look at the PR side and you're like, wait, I can actually apply for this visa right now. My advice is do apply for that visa. As I said, the TSS visa is applied on your behalf by your employer. The PR visa is solely your responsibility. Don't mix this up. Your employer can still sponsor you for a PR visa. However, this is only after, let's say, for example, you have then been employed, you come to the country, and then your employer is satisfied with everything, and then maybe you have an agreement or contract that says, if we apply for this PR visa for you, you're gonna work for us for however many years. Like, there's a whole business that go into that. But this one, with the PR visa that I'm talking about, it is purely independent. It is yours. It belongs to you. You're going to pay for it. Because when the employer says to you, I will apply for the PR visa for you, they pay for that as well. But we'll go into that discussion a bit later. So now you've got the PR visa, your independent PR visa. You've got your employment. You have submitted both applications at the same time, right? That's what we did. So what then happened with us, we then got our TSS visa within 10 days, and then obviously our PR visa was still pending on our IMI account. If you do not know what an IMI account is, later on I'll do some computer-based work where I will go into the immigration website and show you how to navigate it. I think I have done that, but I want to do another video because they have updated it a lot and it's much more easier to use now. I always say this because every time I go in, I'm like, improvement. So they've done a lot of improvements to it, and I'll show you how to get into an IMI account and how to navigate that. So anyways, so now we had our PR pending. So we relocated to Australia on the TSS visa because it came first. It was easier to do. It was paid off by an employer. So it was all good. We waited for our PR, and it was actually granted to us 5-6 months after relocating to Australia. So basically we got our TSS visa 2018 December. That is around the same time we'd actually applied. Remember I said we applied for the TSS visa and then got it within 10 days. So we applied in December, and then 10 days later we got it 2018 December, and then our PR visa was granted to us in May 2019. So it was about 5-6 months of us being in Australia, like around December, January, February, March, April, May. 5 months of us being in Australia. So what then happens in that situation? So when you get your PR visa, it will automatically cancel out the TSS visa. Okay, you don't have to do anything. Once the immigration people go into your portal, they will just simply cancel out the temporary visa, and you'll now be on your permanent residency visa. And it's all hunky-dory, all good days, good vibes. It's all good. Now you can enjoy your stay in Australia permanently. Now you can get your Medicare, you got the benefits. You can get free education, it's all good and nice. Good. So basically answering the question of can I apply for 2 or more visas? Yes, you can, and that's how you can do it. But also, guys, I thought about this when I was doing my research and my preparation for this video. I was like, okay, what about applying for 3 visas at the same time? Let's put a scenario like this. Let's say, for example, you are a medical doctor and you want to come to Australia. You look at the PR visa and you realize, okay, fine, I do actually qualify for that visa. But again, with the PR visa, you never know if you're going to get it or not, because there are a lot of things that go into. A lot of people want to live permanently in Australia. There's a chance that you might actually apply for it and not get it. So it's a gamble with the PR visa. So you're like, okay, fine, let me keep my options open and not put all my eggs in one basket. You're like, okay, fine, I'll apply for the PR visa. While waiting for it, I'll start applying for jobs, right? So you're now looking to get the TSS visa. But also, there's another way of getting into Australia, which is through the student visa. The student visa, guys, it is absolutely easy to get in for as long as you've got an acceptance letter from any university or any educational institution here in Australia. It will be granted to you. You just need to meet the requirements like any other visa that Australia has. So then you say to yourself, okay, fine, I will then start applying for jobs and let's see how that goes. While you're waiting for all of that business to happen and you're waiting to now qualify and get into a TSS visa, you're like, oh, maybe let me then further my studies, maybe do a short course or maybe a postgraduate study or something in Australia, study something in Australia to get in through the student visa. So as I said, with the student visa, all you just have to do is get any institution here in Australia. It's very simple. You submit your documents, they accept you. The minute they accept you, the visa is as good as granted. So then you say to yourself, whichever comes first, I'm getting on that plane and I'm gone, honey. I leave. So in this situation, let's say, for example, you get into a university, you come into Australia on that student visa, right? So let's say you did a short course for about a year. I'll do a video, guys, on a student visa because it is really good. I wish I knew this information. So you get in through the student visa, and then when you are here, let's say, for example, after 4, 5, 6 months, I get you still applying for jobs. You manage to then get a job, and there's an employer that's like, we can sponsor your visa. So the good thing about a TSS visa, you can actually apply for a TSS visa even if you are in the country. So you don't have to be outside of Australia for you to qualify and get granted that visa. So even if you are in the country, you can still look for jobs, and an employer can then say, hey, I'm actually interested in this person, I want to sponsor them. So now you're like, okay, fine, you got a job, you got your studies, you got a job. It is a temporary visa for about 3, 4 years, 2 years, whatever years that the employer would have granted you. Usually I think with doctors they give them 1 year because they don't trust that they'll stay where they want them to stay, because doctors are very high in demand here in Australia. So yeah, it is a very tricky business. So let's say you got a year or 2 years or however long you got for a TSS visa. That TSS visa will cancel out your student visa. This does not then mean that the university will be like, no, because you're no longer on a student visa, we don't want you. You can still continue with your studies on that TSS visa. Okay, so now you see what happened. The TSS visa cancelled out which one? The student visa. So the other thing that I forgot to mention, I realized this when I was doing the edits for this video, with the TSS visa, the reason why you are able to continue with your studies while you are on it is because part of the is it prerequisite? I don't know this English, but part of what I'm trying to say is the TSS visa allows you to study when you are on that visa. So there are some visas that do not allow you to do certain things here in Australia. Like, for example, if you are on a tourist visa, you will not be able to study or work because you just came to visit. If you are on a study visa, it does allow you to work, but they've got restrictions with what kind of work you can do. Not really what kind of work you can do, but how many hours you can put into the work and how much you can actually earn. So you must be mindful and careful of those things when you are looking to apply for multiple visas. Look at how it will impact on your future visas. Basically, the TSS visa allows you to study, so your studies will be covered under that. And your study visa allows you to work, right? Remember that is very important and central. So always read, guys, always read, and make sure that you are well informed with whatever visa that you're going to be applying for. Be very strategic, be informed. Information is key. Information is God. Information is Jesus. Lord, Father God, trust me, information is key in this world. So for as long as you know what you're getting yourself into and you know what you are signing up for, the better with your planning, with your relocation journey, and the easier things might be. So yeah. Then let's say, for example, you've been working for a year plus, or I don't know, 6 months, or whatever the situation is, and then now your PR visa gets approved. The PR visa will then cancel out the TSS visa. So that's how it happens, you guys. Let's say you were looking to apply for 3 visas at the same time. That is the situation. So your PR visa will not affect your studies. It will not affect your employment, because the PR visa gives you rights to live, study, stay in Australia for however long you want to stay. It is the ultimate goal. So that's a scenario on how you can actually apply for 2 or more visas in Australia and how the situation happens. So, okay, fine. It's all good news. At least now you know that you can keep your options open, and at least it gives you a greater chance of you getting a visa to come into Australia. Good days. But now you must remember there are consequences in everything. Consequences. Is it right? Consequences. Anyways, so let's say, for example, you have applied for 2 visas, like as I said, at the same time. That's our discussion for today. You have applied for 2 visas at the same time. But now you find that your PR visa was approved first, and then maybe a week or 2 later, or 3 months later, your TSS visa gets approved. That TSS visa will cancel out your PR visa. Okay? And you don't want that to happen. So what I advise you to do is this. Whichever visa is going to give you a longer stay. Your goal is obviously the PR visa, because it gives you a longer stay. You're as good as a citizen when you are on that visa. Whatever visa you're going to be applying for with the PR visa, if your PR gets approved first, go to your IMI account and cancel the other visa, or tell your employer, if it is your employer who is applying for that visa, to cancel that visa, so that it does not, go cancel the good one. So make sure that you do that in a situation where you have applied for 2 or more visas, and the other visas are temporary, and you're looking to get a permanent residency visa. Because you never know, you might be lucky where your PR visa is approved quicker, within a month, 2 months. There are people that have had their visas approved within 3 weeks after getting an invitation. So you never really know what your luck is going to be. So just make sure that if your PR is approved first, go into any account and cancel any other visa, because it will cancel out the PR visa, and it is not going to be nice and fun anymore, because you're going to have to start the process all over again and pay again, and it's very expensive. You don't want to do that one. So that's the situation. So the other thing that I also wanted to discuss is this. There are people who apply for a lot of PRs on their IMI account. So the IMI account will allow you to apply for however many visas you want. You can have 15 applications on there free of charge. But the problem is, let's say, for example, you're applying for a PR visa, and then you apply for 2 or 3 states. Let's say, for example, you apply for Queensland, New South Wales, and South Australia. And these are the same visas, because let's say you qualify for those 3 visas at the same time. This is not good, okay? This is not good. Do not apply for the same visa at the same time. Apply for different visas at the same time. Because if you apply for the same visa at the same time, it might prolong the process. Your application might take a long time to process, and of which is something that you don't want to see happening. Also, with the PR visa, with the experience that I have, if you apply for more than 1 state, it might be difficult for the state to pick up your application, because you have applied for the same visa but different states. So make sure when you pick a state, to live in, be sure that is the state you want to live in and only submit one application for that state. Obviously, this is for the state-sponsored visa, the state-sponsored PR visa. There's so many different visas, but the main thing that you must remember is if you're applying for a PR visa is the same visa. It doesn't matter whether it is a PR visa that is sponsored by your employee, if it is a state-sponsored, if it is an independent skilled, it doesn't matter which one it is. For as long as it is a PR visa, it is umbrellaed under one umbrella. It is umbrellaed under one umbrella. Yes. It is under one umbrella. So yes, it is the same thing. Ne? But if you apply for a PR visa and a TSS visa or a student visa, they are different visas. They are not under the same umbrella. They're not under the same umbrella. So just be very careful and mindful of that. I hope this discussion has helped you guys with the decisions that you're going to be making this year and whichever visa that you're looking to apply for. If you have any questions, please do comment down below or reach me on my social media platforms. I've got a relocation page, which is Relocate to Australia with Promise on Facebook. I've also got a Facebook page. I've also got my Facebook, but I usually don't like people messaging me there because it gets messy. But yeah, I'm Felo le Promise Rampa on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. So do reach out if you've got any questions and I will try and attend to them. I've been getting a lot of questions. I will try and make time to sit down and answer those questions, but I'll also be using those questions to come back here for discussions that will help you guys. So anyways, that's it from me today. I think I am done with this discussion. If I've left out anything, I'll definitely be coming back to inform you and give you that information as required. But yeah, don't forget, if you've got any questions whatsoever, you are lost, do comment down below and let's engage. So I will see you again in my next upload. My kids are starting to make a noise. Goodbye.